Tesla's net income just fell 71% in its first quarter compared to last year. That absolutely horrible news for the company, it has caused the stock price to surge. Who knows where it's gonna land, but as I'm recording, it's at 8%. So we should talk about why. Because at face value, that might not make sense. It's like if you told me, hey, Phil, I need you to make sandwiches, and I'm like, sounds great. And then I'm like, I made half a sandwich, but I also shit my pants. And you're like, fantastic job. Here's a promotion. Because on its face, at the surface level, it doesn't feel like that news should result in that result. But here's why it does appear to make sense, right? So Musk and other people at Tesla, they have argued that there are multiple factors that have led to the decline. Right? With people noting that Tesla was struggling prior to the whole DOGE mess as a result of new competition and tariff threats. But the growing backlash against Musk specifically and his role in US politics, it's gotten the most attention, especially since that backlash has come largely from people on the left who are more likely to shop for electric cars than those on the right. And we've talked about big parts of this before. There's been lots of anti-Elon sentiment. Some of that's turned into anti-Tesla protests all over the country, as well as cases of vandalism popping up at Tesla centers. And then just as far as the business side, earlier this month, we also learned that Tesla's global sales were falling. So the news about a much lower income during Tesla's quarterly earnings report and investor call, not the most surprising, right? But also Tesla's quarterly report has sort of acknowledged that these anti-Trump and Musk attitudes could be bad for business, saying that uncertainty in the auto industry, rapidly changing trade policy, and quote, changing political sentiment could have a meaningful impact on demand for our products in the near term. And Musk actually touched on this during an investor call, but he also placed the blame on the protesters, not himself, and he defended his role in the administration.
As people know, there's been some blowback for the time that I've been spending in government with the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. I believe the right thing to do is to fight the waste and fraud and get the country back on the right track, and working together with President Trump and his administration. Because if the ship of America goes down, we all go down with it.
But the big, huge thing here is that he still said that his work with DOGE will be taking a back seat. Though this is, he notably didn't say that it was because the backlash against him was hurting the company. Right? Instead, he claimed that it was actually because the bulk of his work there was already done.
I think starting probably in next month, May, my time allocation to DOGE will drop significantly. I'll have to continue doing it for, I think, probably the remainder of the president's term, just to make sure that the waste and fraud that we stop does not come roaring back.
With Musk then saying he'll scale back to just 1 or 2 days a week so long as Trump wants him, but going forward, more of his time will be allocated to Tesla. Now with that, I'll say the logistics of him continuing through the whole term, they're a little wonky because, he's classified as a special government employee, and that status expires at the end of May as it comes with a 130-day yearly cap on work that people can do in that role. And so, we're gonna have to wait to see what this actually ends up looking like, but the news that Tesla all of a sudden will have its CEO back, that seemingly helped the stock go up. But this also, as those comments we just talked about that Elon made, they weren't the only ones that made headlines, right? And that because he spent a lot of the time calling out the anti-Tesla protesters, claiming with no evidence that they had been paid to participate in these demonstrations, with him then also suggesting that they were only protesting because they had been the recipients of wasteful government spending.
They're going to come up with some other reason. But that is the real reason for the protests. The actual reason is that those receiving the waste and fraud wish to continue receiving it.
Which I just gotta say, baby boy, baby Muskie, as someone that gets a lot of love and hate myself, definitely not at your level, you can't say that everyone that's against you is like a paid actor or a paid shill or a bot. If you do that, it makes it easy because then you don't really have to question your worldviews and your actions or anything like that, and put really a lot of time into thinking about yourself and what you're doing and the impact that you're having on others. But it just kind of looks sad and pathetic that you're doing that. But also, I'll say that claim from Musk, it actually prompted some pushback from Tesla Takedown, which is a group behind the protest, which gave a statement to NPR saying, volunteer hosts and participants are stepping forward because they believe in democracy and the rule of law, not because a billionaire is paying them. With them then also adding, the irony is rich, coming from a man who spent $277 million to get Donald Trump elected. And, all of this playing out as Musk has also faced some heat about Trump's tariffs, right? Because while Tesla is likely going to be the least impacted car company since the vehicles are manufactured stateside, they won't be fully free from the impacts because its factories import parts from Mexico and China. And actually, with that, you had Musk saying,
I just want to emphasize that the tariff decision is entirely up to the president of the United States.
Right, and so then all in all, online, you had a ton of people kind of just celebrating this news for numerous reasons, right? Some just celebrating the news of Tesla's profits falling, and that is you had many people cheering on Musk's decision to spend more time at the company instead of the White House. Though there was a notable split because you had some just saying, get the fuck out of the government, and others going, yeah, please focus on the company. And actually, with all this news, it comes as the Washington Post already reported this week that Musk might dip out of his current political role as a result of the backlash that he's been getting, with the article saying the billionaire is ready to exit because he is tired of fielding what he views as a slew of nasty and unethical attacks from the political left, according to a person familiar with his thinking. And this is, you have Trump also saying that Musk is on the way out of the door. But of course, as we wait to see how this actually plays out, I gotta pass the question on to you, even though I know 95% of you have been paid to leave negative comments about Elon Musk. Because obviously, there's no other reason to be critical of the man. Hey, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this clip from the full Philip DeFranco show. And also, a big thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring our Clips channel. Turn your passion into profit over at squarespace.com/Phil, or use the QR code. Because whether you're launching a business or a lucrative side hustle, your website is your digital business card. It's the only space where you control the story, no algorithms or distractions. And with Squarespace, it's so easy because they got a ton of stunning professional templates with drag and drop editing that makes site design incredibly simple, no coding required. So get started for free at squarespace.com/Phil, or scan the QR code on screen and use code Phil for 10% off when ready to launch. Squarespace.com/Phil.